Tension in cities all across the country tonight. People still feeling the weight of the decision not to charge the 3 Louisville officers directly with shooting and killing Breonna Taylor. Instead, former officer Brett Hankinson was indicted on lesser charges. People in Louisville gathering around Taylor's memorial once again tonight. Last night, we saw a movement re-energized as people marched for justice and accountability. In Louisville, marches at one point turned violent with 2 officers hurt in the shooting. The suspect now facing several charges for assault and endangering the crowd. Here in Atlanta, people marched for hours saying the justice system failed them once again.
Still, there were people who were determined to keep making their voices heard.
Right is right and wrong is wrong. At the end of the day, she lost her life and someone needs to be held accountable for it.
We've been marching for a while and we've been demanding change, and change has been slow. It's happened, but it's slow, and I think our elected officials just don't understand how resolute we are. This is a new movement, it's a new generation, and we won't give up.
Protesters marched from Woodruff Park to police headquarters, eventually ending up at the state capitol. The Georgia State Patrol says it used tear gas to break up the crowd after some protesters attempted to climb on a SWAT vehicle. About half the people scattered, but later 11 protesters were arrested after police warned them not to block the street. They're charged with failure to disperse. Under an executive order from Governor Brian Kemp extended just this week, the National Guard is still in place to protect buildings in the city.